Discover the best places to rent and live in Mazatlan, Mexico. Welcome to the Best of Mazatlan Show. My name is Mark Glickman, and I'm your host and publisher of bestofmazatlan.com, the leading digital lifestyle brand of Mazatlan, Mexico. This show will feature entrepreneurs, local leaders and businesses, nonprofits, musicians, and other stories that showcase the best of Mazatlan. Go to bestofmazatlan.com to stay connected and current to the best places to eat, drink, live, and play in Mazatlan, Mexico, aka the Pearl of the Pacific, aka the colonial city on the beach. I'm happy to be joined on the Best of Mazatlan show with my guest, Kristen Decker, co-founder of Mazatlan4Sale and Mazatlan4Rent. Welcome to the Best of Mazatlan show, Kristen.
Hi, Mark. Thank you so much. It's really nice to be here.
Good to have you. So, Kristen, you're a successful woman entrepreneur. You're a real estate broker extraordinaire. Share with us some information about yourself, how you ended up in Mazatlan, what you like to do, those kind of things.
Well, I'm happily married, 25 years, and two boys that are 8 and 10. And we've been coming down to Mazatlan for quite some time. My parents actually discovered this place, gosh, 25 years ago. And so my husband and I and our two kids, when they were little, we used to come down here all the time, just on vacation and for a week here or a week there as we could. And we just fell in love with Mazatlan over the years. And about a little over 10 plus years ago, we decided to move here full time. So our kids were 8 and 10 at the time when we decided to move here. And so it was for us at that time, with the kids being so little, it was a very big decision. And
did you know what you were going to do when you moved to Mazatlan, or you just decided you were going to?
At the time, not really, no, because before we moved, my mom and I and another gal, it was the three of us, because all of our husbands at the time, they were all suit and tie. And so, you know, my dad, my mom's husband, which was my dad, was working as a commercial banker at the bank. My husband was working for a large restaurant chain all throughout the Northwest. And then our other partner, Mashan, her husband, was working for a dealership. And so the three of us decided as women, we wanted to do something kind of different and fun. And so we would focus on really kind of bad neighborhoods, dilapidated neighborhoods in Vancouver, Washington. And we started out and we would buy one house and then we'd renovate it between the three of us. We probably did maybe, I would say, about 85% of the work, from sheetrocking to plumbing to electrical to tiling to anything major like roofing or pouring a foundation or doing something like that, we would hire. But I would say about 85% of it we would do. And so for years, you know, we would buy a house and we'd focus in on specific neighborhoods to a point where in the beginning we would buy them, fix them up, and then sell them. And then we got to a point where we built up enough capital and we could start keeping them as rentals. And so we would have a single family home, then a duplex, then a triplex, then we had a sixplex, then a nineplex, and then we had some commercial properties. And this over you know, the course of the years, this business just kind of grew to the point where the three of us were managing a significant amount of properties and rentals and stuff. And in about 2006, 2007 was when we decided to sell, when my mom kind of got to the point where she wanted to retire and she wanted to sell everything. And so just prior to the crash, which in hindsight, I would say we got lucky. You know, it's not something that we at that time had really planned.
Right.
And so just prior to the crash, we ended up selling almost all of our properties. And my mom moved down here to Mazatlan full time.
Oh, cool.
And so once she got down here, you know, at this point, I was so busy and I was working and fixing up property and doing this. And now all of a sudden, you know, we've sold everything and I'm just like, what am I going to do? You know, I went to the Barnes and Noble bookstore and I think bought every book on financial education and trying to discover, like, you know, what I'm going to do with my life at this point. And so mom calls me one day after being in Mazatlan and she says, Chris, she's like, there's a house right across the fairway for sale from where I am. And she says, it's a fixer upper. It's a really good deal. She says, you need to buy it. And so I was like, okay, you know, I trusted her because that's what we did for years. Right. And so anyway, I talked to my husband about it and we ended up buying this house sight unseen. So I trusted my mom. She just said, you know, wire me this amount of money and I'll just take care of it for you. And so she helped us take care of all the transaction. And so we basically bought a property here in Mazatlan without even seeing it.
Wow.
And yeah, so once we had it, we were like, okay, well, we need to make arrangements to come down and fix up this place because we were going to do it as a vacation rental. And so anyway, we decide, okay, Lion's kind of in between jobs at this point, and we've sold our business in Washington, and the kids are little. So we said, why don't we take the kids out of school for a year? We'll come down to Mazatlan, we'll fix up this investment we have in El Cid, and we'll just, you know, designate a year's time. And we'll say, okay, we got a year, we'll put the kids into school for a year down here, we'll fix this up, and we'll turn it into a vacation rental just for ourselves. And so that is really where Mazatlan4Rent began. That was where the name, the website, everything really first started, but it was only for ourselves and for our property.
Right.
And so we come down here and we put the kids into Anglo for the year, which was, you know, very scary for me because, you know, I didn't speak Spanish at the time. The kids, we had them into a Spanish immersion school in Washington for a couple years. My husband spoke no Spanish. But when we got here, you know, they speak so much slang here in the Mazatlan schools that the kids were, oh my gosh, you know, like I have to like relearn everything again. Right. So it was the first couple, you know, it was pretty difficult the first year, but anyhow, we're fixing up this property and for ourselves. And this lady comes from down the street. She's had a house just down the street from us, and she's from Calgary. And she said, you know, I was telling her our story and how we got here and what we were doing. And she said, you know, I'm really not happy with my property manager. And would you be interested in managing and renting my place while I'm not here? And I looked at Lion and I said, oh man, I said, if we say yes, that means we're not leaving Mazatlan. And so that was 10, almost 11 years ago. And we're still here.
Wow. Good for you. So the business, so you started with Mazatlan4Rent and that evolved into Mazatlan4Sale. You started selling that.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah. So for 10 years, we ran Mazatlan4Rent, which is a property management and vacation rental company. And so we just kept growing word of mouth and clients year after year to the point where we have about 60 properties now in inventory.
Wow, that's great. Good for you.
And last year we had, it was last year, we had about probably 12 of our clients that came to consult with us about buying homes in Mazatlan.
Wow.
And this year, I just referred everybody to another company in town because that's at the time, that's not what we did.
Right.
And 6 out of those 12 people last year bought homes. And so I was talking with my mom and she's like, what are you doing? She said, you can do this. You bought real estate in your whole life. And she says, you know, you should open up a real estate office. And so last June, we decided to go big, and we opened up an office in the Golden Zone across from the Holiday Inn.
That's great.
And ever since then, it's just been lights out. It's been probably one of the first best decision we ever made was moving here. Second best decision was opening up Mazatlan4Sale.
Wow, that's great. You know, and it makes so much sense because you've created this pipeline with Mazatlan4Rent to turn people on to the destination and really get to know Mazatlan. And then they're like a natural customer to actually purchase something in Mazatlan. So it's a great,
Yeah.
great concept. It makes just a tremendous amount of sense. Now, being a real estate agent is extremely entrepreneurial, and it's not a 9 to 5 or 9 to 6 job. It must have been difficult just, you know, when you first moved here to balance being a mother of 2 young children and, you know, doing something different every day in your entrepreneurial role with Mazatlan4Rent. How did you find the balance there in the beginning?
Yeah, finding the balance for me was probably one of the most difficult things to do. You know, finding balance between work, finding balance between, you know, yourself and your family and your kids. Even to this day, I'll be honest, I still struggle with it.
Me too.
By nature, I'm a workaholic, and I always have been. And so I have to remind myself that, you know, I've got to spend a little bit of time for myself as well, and the kids and the family and so on. And so, you know, I mean, I guess the best way to try to do it is just, you know, put it into your work schedule. You know, like if you want to do something like go take a long walk on the beach or take a yoga class or something, then to just schedule it. Say, okay, at 8 o'clock every morning, this is what I'm going to do. And, you know, and then you have your work hours, you know, between 9 to 5 or 9 to 3 or 9 to 2 or whatever it may be for you. Right. And those are the hours that you're going to designate, you know, for work related issues, and then Sundays for family days. And so, yeah, I don't know. That's a tough question for me.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I can say it, but I don't always live by what I go.
Yeah, no, it's hard to find the balance. Believe me, I know that. So, yeah. What were some of the challenges when you first started selling real estate in Mexico? I'm sure you had no idea.
Well, just doing business in Mexico for one is completely different than trying to do business in the United States or Canada. So just getting past that mentality first, right. Number one, is hard. Mm-hmm. So, but I guess probably one of the most difficult things but it's still ongoing, and I don't know if it will ever stop, to be honest, is how many changes there are within the systems. So it's like once you get used to say for example, like just like starting a fideicomiso for a client, which is a trust on a property down here. Once you get in the process of how certain banks and things want you to file for these trusts and these transfers and things like that, and you think you've got it all figured out, then they change the system. So it's like, you know, we had that just recently with Bancomer. Now all the trusts and everything, now everything's going through Mexico City. And so it's a completely different process that we have to learn. And it's not just the banks, it's, you know, the notarios, it's the immigration, it's just the government departments and their processes and procedures that just change all the time.
It's challenging.
Yeah.
So tell me, where can you find the best values in Mazatlan right now if someone was coming into the destination and looking to buy a place to live? Where would you steer them to?
You know, Mazatlan there's so many different like little zones. Like you've got Centro, and Centro is kind of a artist community. You know, they got the art walk down there. Mm-hmm. You can find really cute little, very inexpensive treasures down there. It's very European style, open air restaurants, Plaza Machado. You know, you walk into a home and they have like these amazing, beautiful courtyards that you're like, wow, where did this come from? Centro is very unassuming, but yet can be very affordable, depending on the location.
Right.
Then you have Golden Zone area. Anything that's like not in like a HOA or gated community or anything like that, you're going to find better deals or better discounts. You go into places like El Cid, which is a gated golf community. You're going to find homes, you know, 250 and above in there.
I used to live on the golf course at El Cid. My son was about 4 or 5, and he used to dive into the pool to find golf balls. Land in the swimming pool. We loved it there. We loved it there. It was
so you must have lived in an area where all the golf balls got.
Yeah.
No,
if you had a bad hook, they ended up in our pool.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So are most of your clients people that are looking to buy in Mexico, or are they looking specifically to buy in Mazatlan?
I would say most of our clients are specifically looking to buy in Mazatlan. Okay. You know, we have a lot of our clients, they come, you know, they'll start out, they'll come for say a week, and then that week will turn into 2 weeks. Right. And then that 2 weeks will turn into 3, and then that 3 will turn into a month. And it just, like, over the last 10 years, I just see, you know, people, it's like they keep coming back for like just a little bit longer each time. And they get to a point where they're like, okay, we love it here. We want to buy a place.
That's great. Well, it's always good to fall in love and then buy. So where would you say most of your clients are from? Canada, the US, Mexico, or?
I would say about 50% of them are from Canada, the western parts of Canada. They can, it's easy for them to get here. They just hop on a direct flight to Mazatlan. And then I would say the other 25 are probably, the majority of them are along the west coast of the United States, such as California, Oregon, Washington. You get a lot of people from Utah. We also get people from Michigan, Minneapolis, Minnesota. So, and then I would say during the summer months, which is June, July, August, we have a very huge national following. So I would say maybe 25% nationals, 25% US, 50% Canadian.
Yeah, that national market's really opened up now with the new highway and, you know, the new road.
The new highway, yeah, and each time they keep increasing making the autopista even shorter and shorter distances for people, even from Hermosillo, Obregon, Los Mochis, you know, Guadalajara, San Miguel Allende. I mean, they're San Luis Potosí. You know, anybody from like inland, it's so much easier for them to get here. And in the summertime, Mazatlan turns into Miami's Daytona Beach. It's just crazy, crazy.
I remember that well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now we're at the point where we're going to do a quick little lightning round to get some perspective from a local businesswoman. Tell me your favorite place to eat in Mazatlan.
My favorite place to eat probably would be, well, I have 2. One is kind of a nicer place, which is I love El Presidio downtown.
I love that too, yeah. I love that space. Yeah. It's got so much character.
Yeah, and then one that's kind of more unassuming is but it's always consistent with the food is La Bruschettas.
How about your favorite beach in Mazatlan?
Favorite beach would be Playa Bruja, definitely.
Okay. Yeah. What's your favorite activity, your favorite thing to do in Mazatlan?
I love to just take long walks on the beach. I love to do yoga classes. I love to hike the lighthouse every once in a while.
I love what they did up there with that overlook now.
Oh yeah, I mean they're really just making some incredible improvements in Mazatlan.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which leads me to my next question. What's your favorite recent improvement in Mazatlan? They've made so many great ones.
I know, and they're continue to, which is they've got so many on the books. It's just incredible. Probably right now, my most favorite would be the connection to the highway from the airport. So they recently, so when you come in from the airport, you can just go directly to the highway and skip going through town altogether. So from the airport to get to the Golden Zone takes 10 minutes now.
It's so great to see those improvements because, you know, for years I would hear about these improvements in the making, but they seem like they would never happen. But now they're actually all happening.
And now they're all happening.
Fantastic. It's great. I think, you know, I think Mazatlan hosting Tianguis was a real catalyst for making a lot of these positive changes. But the fact that Tianguis has come and gone and Mazatlan and Sinaloa are still making all these positive changes, you know, speaks volumes about how great the destination is doing now, which makes me really happy. So it's great to see.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Having that Tianguis last year was probably the best thing that ever happened to us.
Yeah, oh, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now we're at the part of the show where I'm just going to turn it over to you to say whatever you want to say about Mazatlan or anything. It's your platform.
Oh, well, thank you. I just wanted to, I want to say thank you to you, to Mark. Thank you for just taking the time to do the interview with me and our company, Mazatlan4Sale. You have a very, Mark has a very impressive history and background in marketing. It was really neat to listen to one of your podcasts and some of the stories and stuff. So if anybody has a chance to check it out, it's neat. And also, I just want to say that you're doing such a great job promoting Mazatlan, and I just think that it's wonderful. So best of Mazatlan. Check it out.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. I'm going to sign off my Best of Mazatlan show with this. We all have choices to make in life. Choose love, not hate. Choose positive, not negative. And always remember, the glass is half full. And if you're lucky, it'll be half full of tequila from Los Asunas. So until next time, adios, everybody. Thank you, Kristen.
Thank you.
Have a good one.